You were born into the machine. It was already running. Before you could speak, they were building your cage. They called it a classroom. At age 5, you entered a room with 30 other children. Same desks. Same walls. Same bell. You sat in rows because factories needed rows. You raised your hand because assembly lines needed permission systems. The education system was not designed to free your mind. It was designed in 1893 for factories, for obedience, for workers who could read instructions but not question them. They separated you by age, not ability. Like products on a conveyor belt. Born in June, you're in this batch. Born in July, next batch. It had nothing to do with how you think. You learned that being smart meant sitting still. That curiosity had a schedule. That your questions could wait until after the test. The bell rang every 45 minutes. Not because that's how learning works. Because that's how shift changes work. Your brain was being trained for interruption, for fragmented attention, for a life where someone else owns your time. Every September, you were wiped clean. New teacher, new room, new rules. The system didn't care what you built last year. Continuity is dangerous. It leads to mastery. Mastery leads to independence. They taught you that knowledge comes in subjects. Math has nothing to do with art. History has nothing to do with science. Reality doesn't work that way. But fragmented minds are easier to control. You were graded on a curve. Someone had to fail. Not because they didn't learn. Because the system needed a bottom. Competition was built into your childhood. Scarcity was the lesson. There isn't enough for everyone. You learn to fear the red pen, to hide your rough drafts, to never show your work until it was perfect. They trained you to fear failure more than you loved discovery. At age 6, you could ask 400 questions a day. By age 10, you asked almost none. The system worked. They told you there was one right answer. One correct path. One way to solve the problem. Your creativity was filed under wrong. Your intuition was marked incorrect. You learned to distrust yourself. But here's what they never told you. The teachers knew. Most of them hated it too. They entered the system to ignite minds. The machine gave them scripts and standardized tests. They became prison guards who remembered being free. The curriculum was written by committees who never taught. Funded by governments who needed workers. Enforced by administrators who feared lawsuits. The child in the desk was never the priority. You spent 12 years training. 16 if you went to college. 20 if you specialized. Training for a world that no longer exists. The jobs they prepared you for were automated before you graduated. But you still carry the posture. Still wait for permission. Still ask, will this be on the test? They taught you that learning happens in buildings, with credentials, with debt. They never mentioned that humans taught themselves for 200,000 years. That curiosity is the natural state. That you were born knowing how to learn. The diploma was a certificate of compliance. It said, this human can follow instructions, can endure boredom, can compete with peers, can suppress instinct for approval. Employers loved it. You spent your childhood indoors, under fluorescent lights, waiting for recess like a prisoner waits for yard time. Your body wanted to run, to climb, to build, to scream. They gave you worksheets instead. And if you couldn't sit still, if your mind moved too fast, if you needed to touch things to understand them, they had a diagnosis and a pill. The problem was never the cage. The problem was you. Some of you escaped. Barely. You taught yourself at night, on the internet, in libraries, in garages. You learned that the real education happens when the system isn't watching. But here's the fracture point. The system is collapsing. Not from revolution, from irrelevance. A teenager with Wi-Fi can learn more in 6 months than 12 years of school. The credentials are becoming expensive lies. The employers are starting to notice, but the machine doesn't stop. It adapts. Now they're adding technology. Screens in every classroom. Algorithms tracking every answer. They're not freeing you. They're making the cage digital. Your children are being raised by the same system. The same desks. The same bells. The same lie that compliance equals intelligence. You know it's broken. You send them anyway, because what choice do you have? The world demands the certificate. The job requires the degree. You're trapped between what you know is true and what the machine requires. So you make the compromise. You tell them, get through it. Play the game. Learn the real stuff on your own. And they do. Just like you did. But something is being lost. Every year you spend performing education instead of receiving it. Every question you swallowed. Every curiosity you killed to fit the rubric. That was your mind. Learning to amputate itself. The machine doesn't care that you're brilliant. It cares that you're consistent, measurable, comparable. Education became sorting. And you became inventory. You sit in your body now. Years later. And you still feel it. The tightness in your chest when someone asks you a question. The fear of being wrong. The need to perform knowledge instead of explore it. That's not you. That's the system. Still running. Inside you.